Hey everyone, welcome to Professor Long's Lectures in Anatomy and Physiology. I'm Professor Bob Long. These videos are intended for use by students who are enrolled in my A&P classes at Del Mar College. If you're not in my class, but you find them helpful, great. Either way, y'all hit like and subscribe. If you're in my class, we're going to be on the list of things to know, page 29. We're going to start the urinary system models. Now I have 4 different models here. This is an overview of the urinary system. This is a close-up of the kidney. This is a close-up of a pyramid. And then this is a close-up of one of these little structures. Now, what I'm going to do is step out and I'm going to zoom in on one particular model for the time being, and then we'll come back to all of these others. Okay? So let me move this to sort of the center of our field of view, make sure everything is nice and kosher, and then I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see great detail. Okay? I wish I had a camera operator, but it's just me. Anyway, so this is an overview of the urinary system. Hopefully you watched all the videos of me doing the drawings of the models, and then they should make more sense. These 2 structures are kidneys. Here you see the superior vena cava. I'm sorry, that's not it. This is the aorta, this is the inferior vena cava. We have the renal artery, the renal vein. Now, if these are the 2 kidneys, these 2 tubes would be called ureters, or some people say ureter. This would be the urinary bladder, and then this tube coming out here would be called the urethra. Now for this model, I'm going to zoom in on just the bladder and the urethra for a second so that we can cover all the structures on the urinary bladder, and you can get a really good picture of them. Sorry for my shoddy camera work. All right, so when we look at the urinary bladder, this thick wall of muscle right here is called the detrusor muscle. And that muscle literally squeezes the piss out of you. That's the muscle that contracts to compress the bladder to squirt urine out the urethra. Now this is a male model. We know that because with this little gland surrounding the urethra is called the prostate or prostate gland, and only males have it. When the prostate gets enlarged, it pinches off the urethra, and men have trouble urinating, and that happens later in life to a lot of males. Now, if this is the detrusor muscle, if you look inside the bladder, all of these little rough ridges in here are called rugae, the same kind of rugae that you saw in the stomach. When the stomach is empty, it's all folded up, and those rugae appear. Same with the urinary bladder. And then as we urinate, as we fill it up before we urinate, the rugae disappear, so they allow for compliance. And then this structure here, it looks like sort of like a cow's head. It would have a 3rd branch sticking up. Since it has 3 branches, that's called the trigone. Some people say the word trigone, but it's a Greek word, it's pronounced trigone. That's where the baroreceptors are and the stretch receptors, so that when the bladder is full, you have the urge to urinate. Now there would be an internal urethral sphincter here and an external urethral sphincter, which would be right near the tip. We're not going to name those. It's just too hard to name them. So here's what you need to know on this model, okay? You need to know the detrusor muscle, the rugae, the trigone, the organ is the urinary bladder, and the urethra. These are the ureters coming in. Now I'm going to zoom back out so that we can see the whole model again, so that I can bring in the other models and you can see all the parts, okay? So, now, this is a close-up of a kidney. Sorry for that loud screechy noise. Let me make sure it's all within the screen so we can view it, okay? I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more and get my camera just right. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Now, this outer red covering, and if you look here, it's a very thin layer on the edge. That is called the capsule, the outer covering. And then these are pyramids. Every one of these large red things, these are full in 3 dimension. These have been sliced open. But pyramid, 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 pyramid. There's a column, there's a column. This layer out here, if you looked at the drawings that I made, would be called the cortex. So I have capsule, I have cortex, and then I have this layer called the medulla all the way around. So capsule, cortex, medulla. Where each pyramid is They sit on top of one of these smaller tubes. These are called minor calyces. So this is a minor calyx. The only difference is there was a pyramid sitting here that we popped off. Those little tiny holes that you see there are called renal papillae. A papilla is really a nipple, but it has an opening in it, and that's where urine would drain from the pyramids into the minor calyx. This one, all of these minor calyces right here are draining into this one, and these minor calyces here are draining into this one. This is called a major calyx. This is a major calyx right here. The major calyces all drain into the renal pelvis, this space here, and then this tube would be called the ureter. So, capsule, ID the layer, capsule, ID the layer, cortex, ID the layer, pyramid, medulla, ID the structure, renal pyramids, ID the bundle of tissue or whatever, you would say column, ID the structure here or here or here, and those would be minor calyces, major calyx, pelvis, ureter, renal pelvis and ureter. Before I go further, let me flip it around for a second. This gap where the ureter and the arteries and veins enter and exit is called the hilum or hilus. Okay, singular hilum, plural hilus. Now, this space here would be the renal sinus, this little empty space. This is a renal artery. These are segmental arteries heading out towards the pyramids. If you focus on this pyramid, you can see the interlobar arteries going on either side, the arcuate artery coming over the top, and the cortical radiate arteries out here. These would be the cortical radiate veins, the arcuate vein, the interlobar vein, the renal vein. That's the blood flow into and back out of the kidney. So, I hope you got all that anatomy. We also have pictures of this in the lab manual. You can look on your list of things to know. The pictures to see all this are going to be on pages 609, 611, and you can see a lot of the details of all of this. Somewhere in that 609 to 615 range in your lab manual, there are labeled images. All right? I hope you had as much fun as I did. There's more videos on the kidneys to come. Do it till you can't stand it. Practice labeling it as many times as it takes until you can do it without looking at your list of things to know. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.